Wasabi wallet. Unfairly private.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to the show. Very excited to bring you this interview. Today I have the man, the myth, the legend, Gigi, who is author of 21 Lessons, What I've Learned from Falling Down the Bitcoin Rabbit Hole. If you haven't read it, you got to check it out. I'll have links down below in the show notes about where you can find Gigi, his book. You can read it for free or you can get a physical copy, whatever you please, but don't miss this one. And he's got another book in the works. Today, we are chatting about what everybody's chatting about. We're talking about WallStreetBets. And we'll get into exactly what happened here, but the long and the short of it is that a bunch of billionaire hedge funds took a bet that the price of GameStop stocks would go down, amongst other companies, and they risked more than they can afford to lose. And a bunch of regular people got together on Reddit and said, let's buy this stock, and pump the price up. And those hedge funds ended up losing billions of dollars, and trading got shut down, and the little guy got crushed, and the big guy seems to have won the day, unfortunately. But we talk about a lot of the implications of what this means and what people are waking up to and what people are realizing. We talk about how it relates to the ethos of Bitcoin. And in our opinion, we talk about how Bitcoin does indeed fix this. So it was a great conversation. I loved having Gigi on. So without further ado, let's dive in. I am Ben with the BTC Sessions, and this is your daily session.
Hodl the Bitcoin.
Now, before we get started here, of course, shout out to sponsors of the show, LEDN.io. This is where you can use your Bitcoin for a variety of different services. I've been using them for a couple years now. They saved me my butt on a few occasions. First of all, with their Bitcoin-backed loans. And I've used these in the past when I needed to get my hands on dollars, but I didn't want to sell my Bitcoin because I was worried, that's a taxable event. And also, I was worried about having to buy back in at a higher price. So here I was able to deposit Bitcoin, get dollars into my bank account within a day. When I paid those back, I get back the same amount of Bitcoin. They also have Bitcoin and USDC savings accounts with interest rates of up to 12.25% annually paid monthly, and their B2X offering, which uses the same loan mechanism to instantly buy you more Bitcoin, effectively doubling it on the spot. If you want to check them out, links down below. If you click that link and opt to get one of their loan products, they'll give you $25 for free into your savings account. Up next, we have the Cobo Vault, one of my regularly used hardware wallets. I love this thing because it is 100% air-gapped. That means that the keys to your money are kept safe and offline because you never plug it into anything internet connected. It's all done via QR code. Now, I also love it because it's interoperable and smooth as hell with my favorite wallets, two of which are Blue Wallet on mobile and Wasabi Wallet on desktop, but it's also interoperable with a ton of others. So you got to check this out. Links down below. For reference, I am using the Cobo Vault Pro, which has the fingerprint scanner and rechargeable battery. Now, if you've been watching for a while, you know, especially with my recent video, that I live on Bitcoin. My income is Bitcoin, and I pay my bills with Bitcoin. And I found that I love this because it drives certain behaviors that make me think better for the long term. But I do have to get by. I do have to, pay for things. I do have daily expenses. And so one of the things that really helps me here is Bitrefill, because they have gift cards which you can pay in Bitcoin, either main chain or Lightning Network, for just about anything you could imagine. I'm having trouble finding things that I want to purchase that would not be covered here. It's just you can scroll and scroll and scroll, and there's so much, and you can designate what country you're in, and it will show you what applies to you. And while you're shopping there, you earn sats back, which is fantastic because I'm getting money back that I was spending in the form of Bitcoin. It's a win-win for me. So anyways, if you want to check them out, link down below, bitrefill.com. And finally, if you're backing up a wallet, typically you do that by writing down a seed phrase on a piece of paper, but that piece of paper is not fireproof or waterproof or U-proof. You might accidentally throw it out if you're not careful. So by backing up on something on solid steel like the BillFodl here on privacypros.io, you can be sure that if there's a fire, if there's a flood, or, if you're just being stupid, you're probably not going to throw out a solid piece of steel. So if you want to check them out, privacypros.io, links are down below. And with that, let's dive into the interview with Gigi.
That's a great way to start off this. That background is fantastic. I'm already recording. I'm just gonna let us do our thing. It's good to see you, man,
Yeah, good to see you as well.
in all of your green screen glory. I see the setup is evolving.
Oh, of course. You have to go with the times, and the times are crazy. So the setup is getting crazier and crazier as well.
Yeah, don't change, man. I love it. Keep going. Dude, what a fucking week. Like, this shit's crazy. What is going
Man.
on with the world?
Yeah,
It's amazing.
I don't know. It is quite amazing to watch. It is very painful as well. Like, I posted the other day that I'm 69% amused and 69% enraged, which coincidentally adds up to 138%, which was the amount the stock was overshorted. So yeah, that's how I'm feeling. Like it's hilarious to watch that a bunch of meme lords can basically uh, destroy hedge funds just by memeing a stock to the stratosphere. And it's really sad and enraging to watch how the legacy system and everyone who is in power is colluding against the small man and just crushing them by just censoring everything that's happening online. Now, as we speak, the first reports are coming out that, of course, like you can't sell the stocks anymore on the apps. You can only sell. You cannot buy anymore. You can only sell. And now the first reports are coming out that positions are automatically closed. So basically, stocks are automatically sold in the name of the people, and it's insanity. It's absolute insanity. And I truly hope that it will be different this time, that some people are going to jail and some people are going to pay for this. And I hope it won't be like 2008 all over again.
Yeah, it's crazy to see. For people watching that maybe don't have a good handle on what's going on. I don't know how. You've probably been like me, glued to Twitter, kind of reading what you can, figuring out what's going on. But maybe let's step back and kind of talk about kind of what went on in terms of. So you had Melvin Capital, I believe, one of the hedge funds at least, and they shorted the stock by a stupid amount, right? So what was the percentage you were saying?
Yeah, I think it was 138%. So it was overshort.
And this is GameStop, right? GameStop we're talking about.
And so basically what happened is that a bunch of people online figured it out. So someone on WallStreetBets figured it out, and he was like, like if we all band together, and like it's like in the subreddit there are like 2 million people, and if only like 10% of them are active and actually following through, then it's still a bunch of people, and they don't have large sums to play with. So it's just a numbers game, like some of them, they're in this game with like, $100, $500, whatever. And the fun thing about short squeezes is that to cover their losses, those who short the stock actually have to buy the stock, and all shorts are like time locked in Bitcoin speak. So you have to get out of your position, and to cut your losses, you have to get out earlier, which drives the stock price up even higher. And everything, it's like a positive feedback loop, which is disastrous for those who have the short and good for those who bought the stock and might go long. And it's all in the bounds of the game, like if you play these financial games, nobody did anything illegal. Nobody did like it's just someone found a loophole, so to speak. It's not even a loophole. It's just they saw what the big financial guys are doing, and they were like, okay, if we make this counter move, then we, like the small man, is gonna win big time. and that's what happened in the last like 48, 72 hours. Like that's what happened in the last 2 or 3 days, and it worked. Like enough people believed in the strategy and banded together, and it worked, and it started working, and it was obvious that it started working like 2 days ago. Yesterday it was really obvious because the hedge funds already had to get a lot of bailout money just to cover their losses, and now just everyone on Wall Street banded together to just crush the little man. Like all the apps that supposedly are for the regular people, for the plebs to trade, they all, like, everyone is in on it. Like everyone is in on
It's
just
crazy.
okay.
Just like for anybody,
Regular people are not allowed to profit. Like those games are just allowed to be played by hedge fund managers and the big money. As soon as the small man and the small money is playing these kind of games, everyone is getting crushed. Like it's insanity. It's insanity.
Like how many instances could there possibly be of them stopping trading because things are going up too much? How many instances could there possibly be of that? I can't imagine many. And it's just that the wrong people were on the wrong side of the trade and they just couldn't have it. It's fucking crazy. It's
insanity. And
it's such a double standard.
And the most insane thing, and Dave Portnoy pointed it out as well, is everything is happening in plain sight. Like, like the amount of the amount of moves you need to do, like the amount of people you need to speak to like delist stocks from apps, to implement functionality in the apps that do not allow you to buy more, that only allow you to sell, that automatically sell, and all of that, like delisting everywhere. The subreddit was closed, I think, but that was just out of caution. But like
their Discord server got shut down.
Yeah. And all of that happened in like 24 hours. Like the amount of like coordinated effort that has to go into that a large scale financial and political move like that actually happens, it boggles the mind. It's beyond belief. Like sending out stimulus checks to a couple of people, that takes like 150 days plus, but shutting down some degenerates that maybe make a little bit of money and bankrupt hedge funds in the process, it like 12 hours, it's all it takes to shut everything down and to really make a difference. And it's beyond insanity. Like I'm speechless. I'm basically speechless. Yeah.
It's interesting to see. So I was looking through your book this morning, through 21 lessons, and a lot of the lessons there actually mirror pretty well with what's going on right now, in that not all of them, but some of these guys are learning those lessons that you wrote about, even though not specifically about Bitcoin. They're learning about the vulnerabilities and the costs of being in this walled garden put forth by, the higher ups.
Yeah,
where
exactly.
There's a certain rule set for some, where they can privatize the gains and socialize the losses, and that only applies for them. And everybody else, if you're going against the grain and you're making money at their expense, then they just shut you down. You're not allowed to play ball anymore. It's fucking insane.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can see that play out in real time. Like some of the WallStreetBets people, they are just now, like these couple of hours, figuring it out. Like I just saw tweets that of the big WallStreetBets accounts that we can only lose because we are using their currency. We're using, like we are using rigged money in the first place. So they're about to figure it out. And all of that, like it. The reason why I'm so passionate about it, I have like no skin in the game. Like I have zero stocks. I don't even have Robinhood installed, nothing. Like I don't play these kind of games. I'm just fed up that the game is so rigged against regular people, and only the small elite is allowed to profit, and everything is set up this way. And so I'm cheering on the little guy that found a way to just burn a small part of the system down. And I think it would be for the better, you know, like every single bailout, it just makes everything worse in the long run. Like the system is sick and broken, and what we would need, it's like, you know, the the regular, like Max Kaiser is saying it all the time, and other people are saying it as well. It's like a drug junkie, you know, like you need the next heroin shot and the next heroin shot and the next heroin shot, and this is basically what bailouts are. And what we would need is, like, you know, letting it crash and burn and go cold turkey for a while, and just recover from that, and don't get addicted in the first place anymore. And this is exactly like the cure to all of it, of course, is Bitcoin, you know, but it takes a while to wrap your head around it and to figure that out. And so I think just seeing and experiencing it firsthand, that everything is rigged, and everything that has a central point of failure will be used by the powers that are currently in charge to rig the system against you. And we are seeing this now in real time, and we see people waking up to this reality in real time as well. And I don't know how it will end. Like, currently it doesn't look good, you know, like it's almost impossible to buy the stocks in question. It's almost also impossible to communicate. I would say, like, there's already like so much misinformation started from like those people that want to stop that. I already saw posts like faked 4chan posts where people were writing like, oh, I'm just a 50-year-old guy and I lost all my pension because the hedge fund controlled my pension. All of this is bullshit. Like, this is complete misinformation, and like 10-20% of the people that are on Wall Street Bet will probably believe this, and will like think twice and maybe sell their position or whatever. I mean, you know, like the Robinhood app is doing it for them automatically anyway. But still, like, all of it is so messed up, and it just shows you very, very clearly how broken things are, like how broken the centralized platforms are, how broken the monetary system is, how broken the financial game is, how broken Wall Street is, and who truly has the power in our world today. Like, if you can basically shut down parts of the internet and shut down parts of like free speech and free trade just on a whim in like 24 hours, those are some powerful people that can do that. And it's insane. Like, it's truly insane.
The thing that has me excited is, like you said, we're watching in real time as all of these people, first of all, they found a chink in the armor and they exploited it. And the response to them exploiting that and actually clawing back some of their purchasing power, or trying to, they're seeing, by being shut down, they're realizing, and it's like, and it's happening fast, but like to us, it's like we get to watch them have this aha moment as they hopefully coalesce, realizing, you know, why Bitcoin is here, why it was created. And it's, you know, the entirety of this whole debacle that's gone on, more was accomplished with this than the entirety of like Occupy. You know, Occupy did nothing. People like stood in the street, nothing happened, and eventually they just kind of disbanded and went home. But they felt that something was wrong. You know, some of that anger was, I'd argue, pointed in the wrong direction, or maybe some of the concepts were muddled. And part of that is the education system doesn't really lend itself to creating people well versed in economics or anything of the realm, let alone personal monetary responsibility. But they know that the scales are tipped in a certain direction, and they're angry about it. And for the first time, I'd argue, in years and years, they found a way to actually ruffle some feathers. I mean, they've been shut down, but now they're seeing, okay, that's a point of failure. That's a point of failure. What do we do? And I think at least some of them are going to start looking and going, well, there's an alternative, you know, instead of, and this kind of hits on one of your points in your book. And I'm kind of applying it in a different manner, but one of your points is that, you know, i.e. Bitcoin won't change, or I won't change Bitcoin. Bitcoin will change me. And I think some of these guys are realizing like they're trying to change the system, but the system is built with a certain set of rules that favor a certain set of people, and that's not going to change. So they need to change and adapt to that reality. And in my opinion, adapting to that reality means opting out of that reality.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think those people are starting to realize it. And it's very true what you said about Occupy Wall Street, that they had the right idea, but no solution. There was no action like no action that was possible at the time to be taking, so to speak. And now an action was taken, but still the game is so rigged. It doesn't matter what kind of genius moves you play, it will always be rigged against you, because the people that make the rules, they can change the rules arbitrarily at any time. And what used to be a winning move, like like 2 days ago, shorting these stocks was the winning move, and now it's not allowed anymore. Now, like there are basically no winning moves in a rigged game, because every move you can think of, it will be made illegal, like after after the first time you played it. And so opting out is the only viable long-term strategy. It's the only solution that really works, but it's really hard to do. And I think it's not as like psychologically fulfilling. It would have been really nice to get this win, so it's a kick in the balls to not get this win now. And it will be really hard to read a bunch of books, truly understand the monetary system, truly understand money, understand that Bitcoin is the solution, understand that all shitcoins are shitcoins, and start stacking sats, because that's what these people need to do. And I hope that all the Bitcoiners will be here. I think, like 95% of the WallStreetBets people, they have the right energy, they have the right idea, they have the right motivation. And we should be very like gentle to them in terms of helping them to understand what's going on and what the actual solution is. And there is a way to opt out of the system, and you can also do it gradually, and just like stack sats, start as soon as you can, and just like automate everything you can. Like if you still get a paycheck, just take 10% of that and start stacking sats, and just watch, like do it like the Bitcoiners do it now. Like just go long on popcorn futures and just enjoy the ride. But again, like it's really hard to actually do it. It's like a long game, and it might not be as fulfilling as burning everything down yourself, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and that's part of, I guess, the culture that this fiat culture that we've grown up in, where everything you want that instant satisfaction. Like we're driven by debt and having whatever we want immediately, pay for it later. And so you're right. Like there's that want for, I want this system over now, and if it doesn't topple immediately, then I'm disappointed. But one of the main narratives that Bitcoiners try to push is the idea of low time preference. And as you kind of dive down that rabbit hole and you start to understand that it doesn't need to happen all at once, and as long as it's trending in the right direction, then you're going to be okay, and you can start to shift your life that way. I hope that some of these guys start to understand that, and it'll come in spurts. I feel like this year is a year where it comes in spurts. But it's going to take more than a single calendar year to see these types of changes that we all kind of really want to see. But these spurts of new people that start to understand it starts to snowball over time, and pretty soon it'll be difficult for everybody to look away. That's when we have some real challenges in front of us. Like the one thing I will say that's beautiful is, you had Robinhood introducing, oh, hey, buy Bitcoin with us. Everybody just got a lesson in why that's a bad idea, because you can't withdraw. You have exposure to the price volatility. That's it. I had somebody I live in Canada, but I had somebody in the US text me the other day, where's a good place to buy Bitcoin? Should I go through Robinhood? I said, don't touch it. And I said, maybe go Swan, maybe go Cash App, whatever you want, but get it into your own custody. That's much better. Get a wallet. And literally like 24 hours later, I can point to a news story that shows them why. And these guys are the people that set the rules are architects of their own demise. It's just a matter of how quick.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it will always happen in this way because Alex Wetsky has this line that people either learn because of curiosity or because of pain. And I think, only in terms of Bitcoin, only like maybe 1 or 2% of people are curious enough to learn everything without without going through a lot of pain. And so what we're seeing now is a very, very painful lesson. Like you don't control these apps, for example. You don't host your own instances of Twitter, of your Discord server, of Reddit, of whatever. Like all of this can be shut down. And if shit really hits the fan, it will be shut down. You don't hold these stock certificates in your hand. Like they can be sold in your name. Like you have no control over all of those things. It's only the illusion of control. And Bitcoin is the only thing, like it shows you really directly that you are in control. And most people learn this also because of pain, because you can shoot yourself in the foot really hard with Bitcoin. Like everyone who, like sending to the wrong address or losing a seed phrase or like there are still a million ways to mess up in Bitcoin. And it shows you that you are truly, really and truly in control. There's no one who can help you if you really mess it up. And people will have to learn that. And I think all of these are important lessons. And I'm super bullish in general. Like I'm bullish on Bitcoin and I'm bullish on Bitcoiners. And I think, like WallStreetBets, 2 million people. Those who are involved in this drama, I don't know how many, maybe 100,000, 200,000, I don't know. How many will stick around for Bitcoin? Even if it's just 10%, it's like 10,000 people, And if you look at what Bitcoin actually does to you in terms of how it lowers your time preference, how it increases your understanding, and how it also teaches you to take on the responsibility that you need to take on to do self-custody and just figure all these kind of things out, I'm super bullish. Like that's like 10,000 new Bitcoiners that will be invincible in like a year or two. And that is what makes me insanely bullish. And everything else will come from that as well. There will be people that actually not only host instances, for example, for better communication and things that can't be shut down so easily, but also the tools will evolve and people will work on that just because of that. Like this is a defining moment in history that we are living through right now. Like so many people just got completely fucked, and it was so obvious and so in plain sight. Like it was daylight robbery, and it's not clear to me if this will have large legal repercussions. But I think this is going to be etched into the minds of people for a very long time, and this is how things actually change. This is how people actually change their habits, and they will think twice about like buying Bitcoin on PayPal or on Robinhood or what have you. Like this is a very teachable moment.
Well, it's beautiful. What an incredible talking point and introduction to Bitcoin we've been given by these Robinhood crooks, because it's such a simple leap now to say, hey, when it comes to Bitcoin, if you're running your own node, you're running a copy of the underlying rules of the network. It would be like somebody like Robinhood trying to change the rules of the game, saying you're no longer able to do one side of a transaction, and you saying, nah, and just going along with the rules as you see them according to your node. It's such, now that concept is the forefront of everybody's mind, and there's a solution right there. This is it. You can easily do this. You get a friggin' you run it on your computer for free, or you get like $100 Raspberry Pi and you boot it up and you're set. And that's a pretty powerful thing to present to somebody who's just been fucked so hard by the legacy financial system.
Yeah, we didn't have any precedent in the West. Like we always said the last couple of years, like if you come from a country where things aren't as good, where the money is broken, or where if you're living under a totalitarian regime, then Bitcoin is very easy to understand because you are facing all these problems daily. And now it showed us clearly that we are in the West also living under a totalitarian regime. It's just not so obvious who is the dictator, so to speak. But now, like, this shows that there are certain people where the rules that are in place for everyone else, they just don't count for them, and they can change the rules at any time. And it really feels totalitarian. It's like, like you are not allowed to do that, you're not allowed to say that, you're not allowed to make that trade, you're not allowed to connect with other people, you're not allowed to visit this platform and exchange information, and you're not allowed to speak on Discord, and you're not allowed to install this application, and so on and so forth. And all of this is, it's complete craziness. Like, especially in the US, but also in other free Western countries, it's complete craziness that this is where we at in history now. It's absolutely insane. If someone would have told you that like 2 or 3 years ago, it would have been very hard to believe, and yet here we are.
Yeah, it's crazy to me too, some of the news coverage of this. Like, okay, first of all, the interview with Chamath on CNBC was fire. That was an incredible interview because he tore that guy a new asshole when he was talking to him. But I can't wrap my head around the fact that a lot of these news pundits are defending what's going on right now and saying, well, I mean, these guys were talking and manipulating things together, when that's common practice amongst hedge funds. They'll go in and they'll behind closed doors have idea dinners, and they'll all basically say, well, we're going to long or short this stock, and they'll all kind of agree to cooperate. There was investigations into those that basically yielded nothing years ago, and they're just allowed to continue. Regular people do it, and we got to shut it all down right away. It's just, and you have the other thing that struck me in that particular interview. I don't know if you saw it, but the anchor was saying how the value of the stock doesn't align with the fundamentals of what it is. What a fucking joke. We're in the midst of a global lockdown where businesses are effectively not able to run, and the stock market is at all-time highs. If you want to talk about fundamentals, why don't we start there? Because that's the biggest fucking joke of all of this. Like,
it's also like Chamath counted it perfectly. It's like, who is gonna say, who's gonna make the evaluation? Who is gonna be the value dictator? Are you gonna dictate what the stock is actually worth? You have no idea. Like, value is completely 100% subjective. It doesn't matter. Like, if everyone decides to buy this fucking stock at that price, that's what it's worth. That's how Bitcoin got its price in the first place. What's the fundamental intrinsic value of Bitcoin? Like, fuck you, nobody knows. Like, it's worth, it's I'm willing to pay a lot for one Bitcoin, and that's how much it is worth to me. And you can say anything else. So and Chamath said this as well, like, don't even try to say how much anything is worth. You won't be able to say the same thing about Tesla or what have you. Pick any stock, like Tesla just, I don't know, like 20x in like 14 days or something. Like,
exactly. Like, fundamentally, did Tesla change that much about their operations over the course of a calendar year to justify that? People see value, how, and he was talking about the way people interpret value. Some people are basing it on earnings now. Some people are basing it on a history of that stock. Some people are basing it on potential future earnings. Some people are just playing the momentum. And all of that is fine to do, apparently, unless there's too many of you and it's against the grain.
What it is, like, if you're an outsider, then it's basically illegal. So what they are saying is that outsider trading is illegal. That's basically what they are saying.
Yeah.
Like insider trading is perfectly fine. If you're in the financial inside circle, you can do whatever. Like all of that it's just normal business. Like that's how it's done. And there is no manipulation there. There is like no like no collusion or whatever to pump or drive a stock down and so on. And as soon as outsiders do it, suddenly everyone cries like manipulation. And if the wrong people lose money, then suddenly like everything is terrible and we need to stop trading and we need to deep platform all the plebs. And it's a horrible situation. And I'm just so disappointed by for example by these news anchors, that clearly don't get and don't see what is actually going on. And how in this situation, how can you side with Wall Street? Like those people that never paid for the great financial crisis, that fucked everyone over and over and over and over again, and now they're doing it in plain sight. Like if they get away with it again, then like the fight that is currently being fought, it won't stay in cyberspace. I don't think it will. Like now nobody is marching in the streets yet, but if they are getting away with all that and everyone keeps getting deplatformed, and like there's like quote unquote free markets, but some people are more free than others, then it's a really bad situation. It's a really bad situation.
So let's take this to its dystopian future ends. Let's go down the negative side of the rabbit hole, and then let's talk anti-fragility and how that makes things robust potentially in that type of a situation. So right now the eyes are on a ragtag group of redditors that decided to pump a mid-cap stock that was shorted a lot. What happens when that sentiment switches to short the dollar, opt out, everybody's in Bitcoin? What are the first bits of infrastructure that are what's the easiest thing to attack first in terms of the state, the regulators? Where do they go first?
I think the playbook will be exactly the same, and I think all of this will happen. So just make sure that you also know about decentralized alternatives like BISC and HODL, and just where you can buy Bitcoin maybe in person and stuff like that. Also make sure to take precautions in regards of privacy best practices in Bitcoin. It's just in general a good idea. And
if you guys haven't noticed, Gigi is a little bit better at that than me. This is the face of somebody who's fucked, and that is not the face of anybody who has been poor in handling their privacy. So kudos to you, friend.
Yeah, well, my privacy outfit is more a statement than anything else, because if you really want to be serious about it, then you have to go full on 6102 and just never connect to anything without going through Tor or at least a VPN. Never show your face ever to anyone. That means never go to a conference. That means don't work in the industry. That means like never send a picture of yourself to anyone ever, and also never show your voice. Like all of these are bad ideas if you want to truly stay private. But still, it's all about reducing your attack surface. If I can find out where you live and how you look like in like 2 seconds on Google, then you're not as private as someone else where this is more difficult. And it all depends on your attack surface and reducing that as much as you can, and just knowing your attack vectors as well. Like, for example, if you're a Bitcoiner, just since we are on this topic, if you buy Bitcoin swag, or as we have seen with the ledger hacks, if you buy a hardware wallet or anything like that, just try to not send it to your home. Like send it to your office, for example, or just get a PO box or something where you can pick it up. And like small things like that go a long way, because if there is like a leak again. There will be a leak again. Like that's 100%. The probability of that is 100%. And then maybe your email address gets leaked, but maybe not your postal address gets leaked. And it's little things like that. But anyway, to go back to the playbook, how this will play out in the Bitcoin world as well. And I do believe it will play out. Not necessarily everywhere on Earth at the same time, but there will be situations, I think, where similar measures will be taken. And it starts with social attacks. And we saw that with WallStreetBets as well. Suddenly you're a right-wing Nazi pedophile, whatever. Like that's, like it's, I saw headlines of those.
Because Discord was shut down for quote unquote hate speech, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because they are all like right-wing pedophiles that live in mom's basement, and they are just bored of and that's why they are doing it.
I also saw an article that labeled it the Wall Street insurrection.
yeah, exactly. And that's step one. Vilify the group of people that you don't agree with. And the next step is obviously attack the choke points. And for Bitcoin, these are the centralized on and off ramps. So this will be exchanges, this will be apps, also like Cash App equivalents. And it's that already is like a large scale attack. You can see it now with WallStreetBets. It's really difficult to buy the stock. Like if you remove the most frictionless on ramps, so to speak, you get rid of like 90% of the people. You have to be really in it with your soul and really stubborn to still buy GameStop stock now. Like you just introducing FUD and friction is enough to knock out most people. That's why, unfortunately, this playbook works. So we can see it now. It kind of works. Like it pains me like to say that, but the big guys, so to speak, currently, as far as I can tell, they're winning because like you said all the apps to auto sell. You make it impossible to buy, and you label everyone like a right-wing Nazi, pedophile, conspiracy theorist, whatever. Pick your mainstream media slur, and you almost win by default because you can bend the rules of the game in such a way. And I think the same thing has happened in Bitcoin as well. Like Bitcoiners were always kind of vilified. It doesn't matter if you're like Andreas Antonopoulos that have been using Bitcoin for, I don't know, like 7 years, completely legally, never bought a single drug or anything with it. It doesn't matter. You're one of those people, like you're only like, this is dark net money. This is like dark market money. This is only for like hiring hitmen and all the rest of it. This changed with a lot of the macro guys coming in, and now companies having it on the balance sheet and so on. And I'm not sure if Bitcoin will be hit that hard because of the corporate angle and because it is kind of wedded to Wall Street in some sense already. But just be very aware of that and just make sure that you have your things in order. Make sure you have control of your private keys, like all the basics. You run your own node, you have control of your private keys. You don't dox yourself too hard, maybe if you can, and just again like use privacy best practices in Bitcoin, and also make sure that you cannot shoot yourself in the foot with Bitcoin. Like try to not have all your eggs in one basket. Try to use multisig if you can, and so on and so forth. And I think that's how you can mitigate those kind of risks. But they're still there. Like if a similar situation, if such a short squeeze happens with the US dollar and everyone is FOMOing into Bitcoin, all of this will happen. And it doesn't matter. They will come up with one-liners that make a large part of the population agree with what they are doing, because we have to save the state, we have to save the financial system, everything will collapse if we don't stop this. This is basically the argument right now as well. Like the hedge funds will collapse. If the hedge funds collapse, other things will collapse as well. We have to stop this at all costs. It doesn't matter what it takes. So this is why they are doing it, because it's also true. It's true that these things would collapse, but it doesn't make it better. As I said in the very beginning, it like the damage gets externalized, and that's what's so horrible about it, because now the damage does not end up being at the hedge fund side, but at the 200,000 people side that are on WallStreetBets, and it's just horrible to see. It breaks my heart.
Do you think that for the people that are in charge of this kind of stuff, do you think that they're currently believing that they can actually prevent the damage, or do you think that they openly know that they're just kicking the can down the road?
That's a good question. I think that's a really good question. I don't know. I think you can't. I think that's different for every individual. Like there are some like magical faith healers, for example, that truly believe that they have those powers, and that
Like
and there are
Stephanie
others
Kelton?
that knowingly scam people.
Yeah.
So, and I think also in this world there are definitely people that think that they are doing the right thing, and also, like if we go back to the drug metaphor, they're like working alcoholics and also drug users. They don't realize that they have a drug problem. And I think also in the like in the fancy world of monetary economics that we find ourselves in, there are people that truly think that they are doing the right thing with just endless stimulus and QA infinity and all those kind of things, and endless bailouts, and doing whatever it takes, to inject liquidity into the system, and so on and so forth. But I'm sure there are also people that know that this is not a stable solution, and it is definitely kicking the can down the road. But what are you gonna do? Let it crash and burn. So yeah, we take the next shot into the arm, and let's see if we survive it another week or two.
Yeah. It seems to me too, like the tactics may change a little bit if Bitcoin were to become even more entrenched than it already is. Like we're seeing the beginnings of institutional interest and actual the position sizes outside of people like Saylor are small enough where that the downside risk is very minimized if they're only holding a percent or two. But if those positions grow and become a sizable portion of major funds and central to the economy, then do you think that it's more likely that they just directly go like a 6102, confiscate and reimburse with an equivalent of dollars at the time and then revalue?
I think they will definitely try if it comes to that. I think we can see this already happening as well. They're talking about, like taxing those who have real estate at like insane levels. And that's the same thing, like, I mean, real estate is the perfect example because like it's immobile. You cannot run away with it, and everyone knows that you own it. So this loops back also to using privacy techniques in Bitcoin and try to reduce your exposure to KYC. Because if they can find out who the whales in Bitcoin are, they're going after them for sure. Like that's if they can, they will. That's history has shown us that, and this will be true in Bitcoin as well. The beauty in Bitcoin is, however, that you can, like as Saylor said as well in one of his, I think it was one of the Lost interviews, or I don't know, but it was resurfaced recently. It's really hard to tax Bitcoin if you know what you're doing, because it lives in the space of ideas. Like you can put it in your head, like it's 12 words and that's it, and you can forget these 12 words. Like you can have a boating accident and you can have amnesia, and you can like, it's very plausible that I mean there are like hundreds or thousands of instances where this actually happened. Like people lost access to the Bitcoin. That's it. What they're gonna do, and we will have to see this play out. So in the end, as I've said before, it's a very profound property of Bitcoin that you cannot steal Bitcoin. Like you cannot steal Bitcoin in the conventional sense. If someone knows what he's doing, you cannot take it by force. Everything else can be taken by force, but Bitcoin is an idea. Even the physical Bitcoin is an idea. Like it's 12 words in your head. You cannot steal 12 words out of my head. I have to give it up willingly. Even if you kidnap my daughter, even if you like put a gun to my head, it's still an act of will. So you have to provide some services to get my Bitcoin. And that's basically like, if shit really hits the fan, and I think it will, that's what it comes down to. Like you can actually draw a line in the sand with Bitcoin. And you can't do that with gold. You can't do that with anything else, because they can always come knocking at your door and just take it from you. And with Bitcoin, you can have a setup where this is not possible. And this can be as simple as geographically dispersed multi-signature. You know, like you have 3 out of 5 keys, and all 3 keys are in 3 different countries. Like that's if you have a meaningful amount of Bitcoin, that's not even that hard to do, and it's not even that expensive. And yeah, well, try to get those, like try to get access to this stash. It will be really hard. Also legally speaking, you know, it's not really clear where the Bitcoins are in the first place. Like there is no, the legal frameworks of this world don't map on nicely to Bitcoin. And it will be very interesting to see this play out in the next like 5 to 10 years.
I'm also wondering, in a 6102 confiscation kind of situation for companies, you know, we've already seen jurisdiction shopping for companies in general, locating their offices to other countries so that they don't effectively pay zip and taxes when the day is done. In a situation where you actually hold a natively digital asset as Bitcoin and there is no locality to it, does that, you know, is there a portion of those entities that just say, listen, we're no longer in your jurisdiction, we're no longer going to operate here? The cost of, especially as companies are buying up Bitcoin because they recognize the reason, they understand the risk of holding dollars. So how easily do they decide to hand that Bitcoin over in exchange for dollars in that type of a situation? Or do they just say, listen, you know, the downside risk for us, if it gets that bad, if it gets to the point where countries are saying, give us all your Bitcoin because we need to protect the dollar, it's probably because the dollar is on its way out. And I've got to believe that some companies and people holding large amounts of Bitcoin will just say where, and they'll be spinning a globe and looking at where they can go.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think again, this is also already happening, but it is only happening for individuals. And also, I mean, we see it for companies as well. I mean, to pick an example, the BitLicense in New York, there is a reason why there are like no Bitcoin companies were launched in New York. And so in general, like there is this saying, money likes to go where it's treated best. And I think this is true for Bitcoin as well. So Bitcoin will go where it's treated best, and also Bitcoiners will go where they are treated best. And this is exactly where flag theory and jurisdictional arbitrage comes in. And we can see already that Bitcoiners are fleeing jurisdictions. And in the US, for example, everyone is going to Texas. Like the amount of Bitcoiners in Texas is too damn high. Like it's it already is like a centralized point of failure almost.
Yeah.
And we can see this all over the world. You know, like there are some places where just for tax reasons, but also just for convenience reasons, you are allowed to earn Bitcoin, for example, and also you can pay parts of your taxes, for example, in Bitcoin as well if you want to, and stuff like that. It makes a lot of sense if you're a Bitcoiner to move to a place like this, also because you will meet other Bitcoiners, because Bitcoiners will move there. So this is where, you know, like Citadel theory almost starts to play out. And I see this for companies as well. Like if I mean, we see it already in the fiat system. So why shouldn't it happen on the Bitcoin standard? There is a reason why Raoul Pal is on the Cayman Islands. You know, like I mean, it's beautiful there as well, I'm sure. But there is a reason why on such a small island there's like 5,000 or 10,000 companies registered. And we will see similar things. Like if countries are smart, they're gonna make it easy for Bitcoiners to start companies there, or at least, you know, like hold your treasury there in this country. and maybe you tax it a little bit, or you pay for the service or whatever. We saw this also in the European Union. In the UK, it was really easy to launch like a business where you just have you have an address there, and it's not even a real office, and you can do it online, and you just do 5 clicks, and you have like a limited liability company there. And I think those kind of things, those kind of services will spring up, and it will be very interesting to see in combination with like shared custody, with multi-sig services like Casa and Unchained and others. If like we don't have many companies yet that do that, but I think just wait 5 to 10 years and we will have like dozens and dozens of companies all around the world that specialize on exactly that. And then if you are a company that operates globally, and if you're a Bitcoin company, you're by default like globally operating, especially if you are in the Bitcoin economy, then you just set up shop in whatever country is best for your needs. And that's I think we see this, like, to me, all those cycles and everything that is happening, it's like fractal in nature almost. Like the first, this already happened, but it was like extreme early adopters and cypherpunks in the past. Now 2017 forward, it was like regular people, still outliers, but regular people. Now the first companies are coming in, but those are outlier companies. I mean, just listen to Michael Saylor. He is definitely an outlier. It's not a regular company. It's not a regular CEO. Like he's an extremist through and through. But the same dynamics are kind of playing out, you know, and also there's the same kind of psychological dynamics are playing out. I really had to laugh because last week there was like this double spend FUD, and a company ate it up and sold their Bitcoin position. You know, like they had Bitcoin on their balance sheet, and it's like, you know, it's the same shit all over again. It's just not individuals. It's just, you know, again, I mean, it is individuals, but it's CEOs, and they are deciding what has to be done for the company. And so that's how I see it playing out.
It's crazy how similar this year is to 2017 so far. Like the same, almost like tit for tat, exactly what happened before, just on a grander scale. You know, we're seeing the run-ups, we're seeing the pullbacks of about the same amount. We're seeing the same FUD, like not even new FUD, really, like recycled over and over again. Like and people listening to it, but they're in control of more money. Like that company had 100 and something Bitcoin that they dumped, and they were all excited because they made 200 grand on 100 plus Bitcoin. It was like a $4 million position. They're like, yeah, 200K, we did it. Can you imagine what they're going to be looking at even within this calendar year, going, what did we do?
Yeah.
But the same psychology is going to play out on the other side. I don't think we're done with these kind of 4-year epochs. I think it's just the same sentiment, but with more cash. And we'll go through another bear run. And the information asymmetry is fucking insane. Like, yeah, I saw you comment on it, but I clipped together some old video that I made of what I thought Bitcoin was probably going to do for 2017. And so all I did was, as it was kind of clear that the bull market was coming to an end, is I just kind of said, well, what happened in 2013 for that bull and then bear market? And then I just kind of applied it to 2017 in general, percentage wise. And I just said, it'll probably be pretty close to this. And I had some ballpark numbers, and it was basically exactly what happened.
Yeah, it was spot on. Like it was wild to see this video and just look at the actual numbers and just see it's like, it was spot on. So yeah, I don't know what to make of it, because obviously, you know, I really don't know what to make of it, because it can't go on like this forever. It would be too perfect. And if it turns out to be too perfect, then you simply front run the cycles and the models and everything. But it seems to me that there are some just fundamental psychological things at play. And for example, also what I think is really interesting, if you get burned by Bitcoin in whatever way, and even if it's just selling too early, it's really hard to get back in. So there's so many salty NoCoiners, like all the critics that are still around, like they all almost die of sodium poisoning because they're so insanely salty. Like just the debate with Nick Cardell, it's like, yeah, my wife told me to buy Bitcoin when it was $10 and I didn't. Yeah, no wonder you don't like Bitcoin, because imagine living with that decision that you could have been set for life, and and just, I mean, it doesn't mean that he would have held through it, but you see this over and over again, like those who are against Bitcoin the most are those who are aligned with it the least. Like you're either wedded to the fiat system, or you got completely wrecked because like you got out too early, or you think you missed the boat. And this is also a funny psychological trick that Bitcoin is playing on you, because on an exponential curve, you will always have missed the boat, always, in perpetuity. Like there will never be a time where you will think, I haven't missed the boat in Bitcoin.
And the reason for that is because people are using dollars as their measuring stick, and that measuring stick keeps on shrinking. Like,
of course.
Of course, you're always missing the boat because
you're always late.
Yeah, because you're married to the dock. Like, you're not. It's crazy. It's hilarious to watch.
And if you go back to old forum posts, there were people that were like, I missed the boat. Now it's at 20 cents. One Bitcoin is at 20 cents. And I missed the boat because it went from like basically 0 to 20 cents. How higher can it go? And we like, it's the same psychology all over again. And so what I always say is just get in, just start stacking sats today. Like even if you don't know what Bitcoin is, even if you don't understand it, like $5, start stacking. $5 every week, $10 every week, doesn't matter. Just get in now. You just please believe me. It's the best. It's the best thing.
I was having a conversation with somebody recently, and we were talking about how the people are so fixated on the units and the values, and they're fixated on, oh, I got this many dollars, oh, I only get this much Bitcoin, or even if they're in sats, I'm getting this many sats. They're not fixated on the percentages and the percentage of the monetary base that you're actually holding, and the fact that Bitcoin locks that in from the moment you own it, and fiat dollars do not. And imagine if you had a bank account where it didn't show your dollar balance, it showed your percentage of the economy that your purchasing power represented, and you got to watch that tick down second by second. Like how it would be eye-opening, but we don't see that. We just see a static number, and it's a broken measurement.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, feature requests to all the wallets and all the interfaces out there, because we can do that in Bitcoin, we definitely should do that in Bitcoin. You should be able to see your percentage in the current economy and in the maximum supply. That would be really neat to see. Like you can just toggle it, and if you have like one Bitcoin, you're already in the wealthy super elite. Like just keep in mind, there aren't enough Bitcoin to go around for every current US dollar millionaire to have one. So if you have 100 million sats already, then just you basically made it, in my opinion. And it's wild to think about those kind of things. It's also really difficult to wrap your head around it. And I think I'm sure you experienced that as well, but I think the deeper you understand the two systems, the fiat system and the Bitcoin system, the less interesting the price gets. Like once you are pretty much all in Bitcoin anyway, the price is almost meaningless. In my opinion, it's just, of course, like it's better if it's lower because you earn more sats and so on and so forth. But still, it's not necessarily even about the price. It's about all the things we talked before. That's why I think this WallStreetBets fiasco is so insanely important, because it shows so clearly that you are not in control, and with Bitcoin you are in control, and that's what it's all about. And that's what's so beautiful about it. Like it brings so much peace of mind. And I talk a lot about the Bitcoin Zen, like the Zen that Bitcoin brings, because like with basically 100% certainty that Bitcoin will still be there and that there won't be more than 21 million Bitcoin. And you have your little stash, and you have it hopefully secured in a somewhat sensible way. And you know, like when it comes to those sats, you're untouchable. And this gives such a peace of mind. It's beyond belief. Like I can't even put it in words. You cannot have this with any fiat currency, because it's always inherently unstable. You don't know how it will. And I think people kind of feel that, because they feel and they know that the dollar doesn't buy you anymore what it used to buy you, and the euro especially, it doesn't buy you what it used to buy you. And I don't even want to like go further back and convert. Like in Austria, for example, we had the Austrian shilling, and 1 euro was like 13 shilling and 13.7 or something. And to go back, and I still remember, you know, like with 20 shillings, I could buy a meal, and this would be like 1 euro and like 30 cents or something. You get nothing. You don't even get a chewing gum for that anymore, you know? And so people intuitively understand that and feel that, especially if you're like older than 18. If you're a little bit older, you know that you lived through those kind of things. And I think the worse, like the further removed from the US dollar your country is, the worse it gets, because there are some countries where it's horrible. Like you definitely know that your savings are melting away in front of your eyes. And with Bitcoin, it's exactly the opposite. And not only that, it's also you have the certainty that it will still be there. You know, like it's so beautiful, and it's like the amount of peace of mind that Bitcoin can bring if you use it correctly cannot be overstated. And that's also why I basically I despise traders, which which is kind of ironic, because I love the WallStreetBets people, because I think, you know, exploiting the system and trying to bring it down is the right thing to do. But in general, with Bitcoin, I don't think you should trade basically ever. You know, like if you truly understood it, just try to figure out how much purchasing power you can put into your savings, and just start savings in sats, and just stack sats as hard as you can, basically.
Yeah. Well, Bitcoin obsoletes the need to trade, because the whole reason the majority of people try to utilize the stock market is to preserve the fruits of their labor through time and space, so that they can retire. When your money no longer necessitates you doing that, then far fewer people will want to roll the dice on some stocks that they barely understand. They'll be happy just saving for their own future and not have to become professional investors just to hope that they have enough money when they do retire. So it's game changing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it will just become more and more and more obvious. And I think it already is obvious that on a 4-year time horizon, Bitcoin is a perfect savings vehicle. Like it's, you know, like how much did we make on average every year? Like 200%, something like that. It's just, it's insanity. So not saving in Bitcoin is almost irresponsible already.
Yeah, I love it. Well, Gigi, I think that's a good place to wrap it up. I loved this conversation. There's so much excitement in the air, and you're right. It's like a double-edged sword, because it's excitement and it's disappointment at how corrupt the system is. But there's been so many things, whether it be the trillions upon trillions of dollars being printed that just point to the worthlessness of fiat currency in general, or the blatant spotlight that we've shone on the balance of power and the double standard for the people at the top, that is not reflected in the people that are just trying to scrape back some of their purchasing power. There's so much that we're watching an aha moment on a global scale, and I don't think it's slowing down. I think it's going to snowball, and interesting times.
Yeah, maybe to add to that, like if someone is listening to that is just really outraged, as I am, as also my the flames in the background show, like I would love to burn it all down, but just keep in mind that the beauty of Bitcoin is you don't have to burn it all down. Channel this energy and try to do something productive, and just start stacking sats. Like that's the best thing you can do. Take this energy, take all the hate and the disappointment in the current system and all of it, and just try to educate yourself and others what Bitcoin is and what this is what this is truly about, and try to use this opportunity to exit the old system and channel all your energy to build the new system in a better way. And we can definitely do that in Bitcoin. Like, we have Bitcoin as our base layer, as our new base layer for society and for financial, for all things financial, and just build up on that. And don't waste your energy on trying to break the old system. Like, I don't think that's necessary. Channel it and do something productive in the new one. And again, like, I'm cheering on the people that try to mess up the hedge funds and everything. But I think you can easily burn out trying to do that. So if you have an opportunity to educate yourself, and I think in Bitcoin it gets easier like every day almost, and just try to do that, try to understand it, and try to help others understand it, and try to exit, like leave the old system behind and build a better future with the new one.
Yeah. Well said, man. I'll let you tell people where they can find you, anything that you're working on. Of course, 21 Lessons. If you don't have the book, or if you haven't read it, check out, I'm sure what Gigi is going to tell you to go check out. And you've got another one on the horizon. So my friends, let people know what you're working on, where they can find you.
Yeah. So as you mentioned, 21 Lessons, I wrote it like 2 years ago almost now. You can read it online for free, and you can also listen to it online for free. You can also buy it, like if you want to have the physical copy. It's available on 21lessons.com. I'm working on 21 Ways, which is kind of a follow-up, and it's gonna be like way longer, and I hope way deeper. Let's see if it's more interesting. But I've been trying to work on it as much as I can. But like with all the chaos that's going on, that proves difficult. And I'm also working for Swan, so I'm an engineer there, and I've been working in the industry now for a couple of months full time. And so if you want to stack sats, just find a good DCA service if that's your thing. If you're in the US, of course I'm biased, but I can highly recommend Swan. And if you don't want to KYC, use peer-to-peer services like BillFodl. Try to get exposure to Bitcoin if you don't have already. But I'm sure everyone who's listening has some exposure to Bitcoin, I hope. And if you want to tag along on the ride, find me on Twitter. You can also support me on Patreon. I try something new with the writing. I'm pre-releasing chapters for the new book, and I do this for my patrons. And we have also like live chats sometimes, and a good community around the book going on, where we share ideas and discuss things. So that's really cool. It turned out way better than I thought. And other than that, just as Matt always says, stay humble, stack sats. It's the best thing you can do.
I love it. Well, dude, thank you so much for being on. I had a blast.
Yeah, thanks for having me. That was a lot of fun.
Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you really enjoyed that. Again, check the links down below if you want to catch up with what Gigi is doing, and follow him on Twitter. Now, if you really liked what you saw, you can do a few things. You can hit like, subscribe, and share, because all of those things really help the show and bump this content in front of more eyeballs. You can also hit up the sponsors I mentioned down below. That was LEDN, Cobo, Bitrefill, and Privacy Pros for the BillFodl. And finally, if you really liked what you saw, you can always hit me up with a Bitcoin Lightning Network tip at my tippin.me page. That is tippin.me/@BTC Sessions. With that, I am out. Have yourselves a wonderful day, a wonderful evening, wherever you may be, and I will see you next time for your daily session.
Hodl the Bitcoin.